Hey Fiends, so let's talk about Mira Luna 2017, aka the wettest Mira Luna I've ever experienced. As I think I said in the last video, the one when I was showing you my shopping, when, yeah, I've still got the cold, but it's not as bad as it was. I've been going to Mira Luna for, well, this is my 7th time in 8 years, I think. I missed one because I had to work back in the day where I actually had a job. And God, I started when I was like early 20s, so now you probably know how old I am. And yeah, this year was the worst weather I've ever seen. Usually Mira Luna is really quite warm, as in like I've been sunburnt multiple times standing in that city airfield. And this year I didn't even need to put sun cream on. Previous years, like, I only remember there being one year that was particularly rainy, and that was like what I would call scattered showers, where it was like some sun and some rain and some sun and some rain. This was kind of, well, we'll get to it. This was wet. So as usual, I made my way there thanks to the lovely Goths on a Bus. I'll put a linky-doo down in the description-y-doo. They're the only reason that I've managed to make it there, because I'm the least organised person. I'm like as organised as Brexit. That's how organised I am. So the only reason I managed to get to Mira Luna at all is because Aid and what's the name of the coach company, Aston's, sort of sort out the whole getting there business. So I make my way to Watford, which is a bit of a trek, but it makes it easy to get back for reasons I won't go into. And then sit in the pub for a bit, and the coach turns up, and then we drive on down to Dover. In some previous years we got the Channel Tunnel. This time we were on the boat, on the ferry, and so we were driving all the way down to Dover, and a couple of hours on the boat, and then drive from Calais to Hildesheim. The journey down, well, it wasn't too bad. One of the bridges over the Rhine was shut, so that was a bit of a faff. And then when we actually got, the closer to Hildesheim we got, the worse and worse and worse the traffic got. Usually there's like bad traffic around Hanover and around Antwerp, but this was like steadily like a gradient of traffic. So that by the time we got into Hildesheim, it took forever to get to the airfield itself. And by this point it was this sort of horrible, like, misty, miserly rain that was sort of heavy enough that if you were standing out there for 10 minutes you would be sodden, but it wasn't heavy, like, it wasn't like droplets like falling on you. It was just this sort of haze of grim, grey, German, miserly mist. And so, like, there was no point putting up an umbrella because, like, it was getting picked up in the wind and, like, thrown at you from all directions. So, and by the sounds of it, it had been like this for pretty much the week leading up to it, because there was a thing on the website and on the Mira Luna app. It was basically like, on your head be it if you're parking it on the grass. And by Monday they were putting out things saying, we will bring along tractors to pull out the people who got stuck in the mud. We, Alan, my good friend Alan and I tend to do Mira Luna, not quite joined at the hip, but we tend to wander around together a lot. and we met this couple on Sunday night who, hello if you happen to find this, it was an English girl living in Bavaria with her German boyfriend, and they'd been apparently like driving for like 8 hours and then were like 2 foot deep in mud, and I hope you two got back okay. I don't know your names, I don't know anything else about you, but I hope you got back okay. Because yeah, it was grim, it was so muddy, like the ground was so soft that when we're putting up the tents and hammering in the little pegs, the slightest breeze or pressure would just rip the pegs out of the ground, which meant repeatedly having to rearrange the tents because my tent's fairly good, but it's it's going on a bit. I've had it for over a decade, God, but it's one of those ones where you've got an outer shell and an inner shell, and as long as the twain do not meet, you stay dry on the inside, theoretically. I will get to why that didn't quite work in the end, but where the pegs were sort of going, the two were touching, which is not good. So yeah, once we finally got our tent set up, we basically just sort of sat in them for a while in the vague hope. I forgot to put my light on. We basically just, after that, sat in the tents for a little while, waiting for the rain to lessen a bit. In the meanwhile, it turned out that one of the other coaches that we thought had managed to get there before us, and we hadn't found, we thought, well, maybe they found somewhere else to sit or wherever. They had been stuck on the slip road out of the supermarket in Hildesheim for about 3 hours because of the traffic. So like the whole journey in was like, it wasn't bad, but there was a lot of odd little things going on. We finally decided to brave going to the medieval market bit to get some food, and I will show a little clip to you.
Hello from Miralina. I'm not sure how well this is going to show up. Hello. We are now on the Friday. It stopped raining at last. It's still quite cold, but now I've had hot mead. I feel a little bit better. Alan is in the queue over there somewhere for Rambrot, which is like this baked bread with things in it. And we're in the medieval market having a good time. Hello Al, I'm filming. Yay, Rambrots! And mead. I've already drunk all mine. Haha.
And then after that I went to go and get something more warm to wear. Slept in a bit overnight. In the morning we went to the supermarket because we hadn't actually managed to do that. Just get some food and things. And this is where I'm going to start having to use the festival guide because I can't remember the order of the bands I saw. I think the first band I saw on Saturday was Comkill. Yeah. She Passed Away were on beforehand, but to be honest, I'm not mad on them. Like, I know a lot of trad goths really like them. They're okay. But they were on fairly early, and I still had to get changed, and because I was just still in like slobby travel wear rather than like the gloriousness that I like to wear at Miralina. So we skipped watching She Passed Away and managed to get into the hangar stage for Comkill. Comkill, if you don't know, are a side project of Diary of Dreams. They're supposed to be a more electronic outfit. To be honest, I don't really see that much difference between their stuff and a lot of Diary of Dreams earlier stuff, but I don't know, maybe they're going for a different market. I don't know these things. But they were really good. I really enjoyed their set. It was only a short set because it was sort of, afternoon, so early afternoon even. So who did we see after that? Oh yeah, the Saturday was a weird lineup where like there were a lot of bands on at the same time that I wanted to see, and then huge gaps. Okay, I'm having trouble with my camera, so I'm doing this on the phone now. Something's playing up with my batteries, so apologies for the change in camera quality. So next up, after we saw Comkill, we yeah, Saturday's lineup was frustrating because there were loads of things that sort of clashed, and then loads of things that sort of clashed. But stop it! Sorry, my camera's making beeping noises at me now. Shush. So while I will put it on the screen. I don't know how to pronounce it. They were like a very mead themed Mittelalter band. While they were on, we went around the shops and the stalls, and I will put in another little clip here. So it's Saturday at Miraluna. We have just seen Comkill. Alan is in his natural habitat over there finding CDs. Hello. It's very windy, it was raining, everything's muddy. My new rocks are slowly sinking into the field. So if there's a pixie-shaped hole in the runway, that'll be why. We're just wandering around the stalls, but as you can see, it's very muddy, and my sleeves keep getting picked up in the wind. I think Mesh are on next on the main stage, so we'll probably see them, although I might wander around the stalls a bit more because I'm not that bothered by them. But we've got Project Pitchfork later, and ASP, and Korn of all people, but hey hey. And everyone's looking at me funny because I'm filming myself. Hey hey. So yeah, lots of rain ponchos, lots of very muddy people in very pretty outfits. Next up after that were White Lies, who were really not my thing. Like if you enjoyed them, if you saw them, you liked them, that's fine, but they weren't my thing. The trouble with Miraluna for me is because it, I mean, for one thing, it's, you know, German goth scene is a lot more all-encompassing and nebulous than the UK goth scene, so there's a lot more crossover acts, and the festivals are a lot more sort of crossover, if that makes any sense whatsoever, which it probably doesn't. There's a lot more sort of Miraluna, you end up with indie bands, you end up with electronic bands, you end up with Mittelalter bands, you end up with metal bands, goth bands, trad goth bands, dark wave, literally anything that comes under the sort of Schwarzer scene umbrella. So White Lies were very much a sort of indie rock band, which is not the sort of thing that I'm into at all. So that was more sort of wandering around, catching up with people, chatting, having something, having a drink, that sort of thing. And then, so this was the point where it got frustrating because there were like a couple of bands that I wouldn't have minded seeing in the hangar, like Asbury Heights, who are hilarious, and KMFDM, who I've never managed to see, but the lineup on the main stage was slightly better for me, so we went down the front, saw Project Pitchfork, who are great, they're always great, I love them. Here are some, I'm going to throw in a little clip view. Yeah, so they were really fun. I always love them. I've only seen them a couple of times, but they are one of my favourite more electronic-y bands. After that was Subway to Sally, who are, if you don't know them, they're a German Mittelalter band, so they're sort of medieval themed, so hurdy-gurdies and explosions, and they now have, I can't remember the lady's name, I'll put it on the screen, but she used to be the fiddle player for ASP, and she is glorious. She plays a mean fiddle, and her hair goes right down to her calves. So she's very, very striking. And, you know, you've got Mr. Fish running around being bonkers. And unfortunately, at this point, my camera died, so there's I don't have any pictures, so you're just going to have to use your imaginations. But Subway Sally I always enjoy, and they had lots of fire, which was nice to warm you up when it was a little bit wet. And we even got a little bit of sunshine for a bit during them. Then was, oh man, so Asp, who are one of my favourite bands. I love them to pieces. I didn't really know them until I started going to Mira Luna, and now I love them. For me, they're one of the best bands. They came on, it was all very dramatic. Hairspray came in with a big hood over his head and was sort of, you know, gesticulating behind this huge smoke box, and there were fire pits. And then they did their first song, and we were really getting into it. And then all of there was a power cut, basically. Everything just went, And so Mr. Sprang's on stage sort of pulling faces and sort of making cranking motions and pointing at the roadies. And yeah, nothing was working. The cameras, the lights, the music, nothing was working. And so there was a lot of running around, tinkering around. They tried to get it working. It wasn't working. Somebody came on and started saying something in German, which I assume was, we're going to let them do their whole set. And then it kept going and it kept going. 35 minutes passed, and then we finally got Asp back on stage, and I mean, long story short, it was one of the best sets I've ever seen them do. I've seen them half a dozen times. No, probably not that many. I've seen them quite a lot, and it was great. Hairspray was back to his old maniacal self. A lot more in the moment and mad and manic than I've seen him the last few times. And they did one track where they had Eric from Subway Sally come on stage. The downside was that they were supposed to finish at about 10:15. They ended up being on until about 11:15. At 10 o'clock, the heavens opened, and yeah, everything I was wearing, that whole outfit, you know, right down to corset, right down to knickers, absolutely soaked through. It was just awful rain, absolutely pissing it down, and it came on so suddenly and so heavily that initially I thought it was going to be a quick shower. And you know, I was right down the front. We were like 3 rows from the front or something like that. I thought there's no point putting up my umbrella. I wish I had, but I wouldn't have had the room to. But yeah, absolutely drenched, soaked through to the skin. And bless him, Hairspray was kind of running around and sort of at one point trying to scramble out onto the speakers, but it was too wet for him to get down there. And so at one stage he just grabbed 2 litre bottles of water and poured them over his head and like all over himself, soaked himself through to the skin. So yeah, long story short, great set, terrible weather. The last band on after them was Korn, and initially I'd been thinking, yeah, you know, I'll watch them from the beer tent. After that downpour, no, we just went to get food and then went back to our tents, and I got a little bit ratty because I was soaked and it was cold and it was horrible, and all my stuff was wet, and I was worried that things would get ruined. So so that was a bit of an early night, really, which is not what I usually do at Mira Luna, but here we go. And then on Sunday, what did we see on Sunday? Yeah, first band I saw were Crew Shadows, and so here we'll have a clip.
For heaven shall remember the silence and the praise, and promise me they will never see the fear within our eyes.
They're always fun live. Songs wise, it wasn't the best set I've seen them do, but you know, we had Winterborn, we had Marilyn, we had Birthday, so you know, some of the best ones. And Rogue is always a good showman. You know, I have a game that I play with watching them live where it's like, where is Rogue? Because he's not normally on the stage. He's normally in the scaffolding or on a speaker or climbing on the security railings and worrying all the security guards. So you know, I find that amusing. Next one after that was Mono Inc., who again, like, I've seen them a few times. They're alright, they're not really my thing, so we went around the stalls a little bit more. After that we saw Shanmal, who again, another kind of middle-aftery band. They have bagpipes and hurdy-gurdies and all that sort of stuff. And here is a clip. It was a good set. It was only a little bit rainy, and for the most part it was quite sunny, so that was nice.
Well, it's Sunday, still a very lunar. It stopped raining at last, at least. If you can hear me over the sound of noise and sound check for Blue Angel, we've just seen Shanmal and the end of Mono Inc. We saw Pre Shadows earlier. I'll probably do a bit more of a talk to camera at a later date when it's actually quiet. Let's have a pan around.
Next up after that was Blit Angel, and oh man, Blit Angel is such fun. They're so silly. And like, it always amuses me seeing them live because the Germans seem to take them really, really seriously, but they're hilarious. I mean, I will put up some stuff now so you can kind of get the impression.
She's in love with the devil, she's in love with Lucifer. This is her revenge for all the years of hate and tears. Fire's falling from the sky, she's burning down her past. She starts a new life. To hell with Jesus Christ. Love with the devil, she's in love with Lucifer. This is her revenge for all the years of hate and tears. Fire's falling from the sky, she's burning down her past. She starts a new life.
Phil, who is another bus goth on a bus person, came up with the best analogy for Blit Angel. Though, like, you know, with mainstream rappers, when they're trying to sort of, they have the music videos where they're kind of really trying to sell this ideal lifestyle where it's like, you know, the girls in the sexy clothes and they're on the beach and they've got lots of gold jewellery and they've got the drugs and they've got, you know, all of that sort of lifestyle stuff. Blit Angel are selling, like, in their videos and their stage show, the goth equivalent. So you've still got the sexy ladies, but instead of the gold jewellery you have silver jewellery, instead of a beach you have this sort of grey wasteland. and instead of drugs you have blood and blasphemy, and it's just the most gloriously cheesy nonsense, and it's always fun. I watched the entire thing cackling my head off. And then the last band on were And One, who are not really my jam. I know they're very popular with the cyber crowd, but they're not really my thing. They did a cover of a Pitchfork song though, which was not as good as the Project Pitchfork version the day before, but here is a clip from sitting at the mead tent after them. And then that was kind of it. We sort of had some food and drank some mead and chatted to people, and then the next day it was getting up really early to go back, start heading back. The traffic going back, even though thankfully the weather was a lot better, was even worse. It was so slow. And the only plus side of this is that because we ended up missing one of the ferries, we ended up taking a rest spot at PJ's, and so here is a clip. We got to go to the chocolate factory. It's a duty-free chocolate factory called, can I get this in anything, called PJ's, and we come here whenever we have time. And now there's lots of happy goths with chocolate. Goths with chocolates!
As far as the eye can see.
Chocolate goths! Chocolate goths! That was Miraluna 2017, a rather underwhelming experience, I've got to say. Like, I know I love Miraluna, and I'm still glad I went because it was totally worth it for some excellent sets from some of the bands. And, you know, chance to meet up with all my Goths on a Bus friends, who, a lot of whom, you know, live up north, and I don't, so I don't get to see them very often. And you know, I always enjoy the food, I always enjoy the shopping, I enjoy prancing around in my fancy clothes, even though, you know, for me, primarily a festival is about the bands, and the bands were great, it was just the weather was not, and no pun intended, but it kind of put a dampener on things, which is a shame. But I'm still glad I went, and I will definitely be going again next year. No matter how crazy the lineup is, I'm pretty much... I love this place. I love Miraluna so much. It was a wonderful time, but yeah, the weather was less wonderful. So hopefully, fingers crossed, legs crossed, eyes crossed, next year's weather will be more on the sunny side and less on the death mist side. So yeah, video wise, probably the next video will be one of the Rome vlogs while I slowly catch up with all the things that I filmed while I was on holiday. So I will see you soon, and hopefully I'll have my camera working so you won't be on the phone, and I will see you soon. This has become an annual event. I don't know why. It just does.